So I was at a meetup the other night. I was at a presentation and there was a Web3 recruiter there, and he was explaining that when you're getting a traditional job, it's 90% your skills and what you've actually achieved in your past, and 10% your interest in that role and that particular company. But the Web3 space is very different, and it's 50% your skills and what you've done in the past and what's on your CV, and 50% interest in being involved in Web3, your knowledge in crypto and all of that kind of area. So it's much easier to move into Web3 if you have interest and passion in the field.
We have Paula with us today, and Paula is a world-class Web3 educator and advisor, and is making cryptocurrency and blockchain as simple as ABC. And Paula is also helping various organizations into this space to helping them with their digital transformation. Paula, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on and for that quick introduction. As you said, my name is Paula. I have a background as a CPA accountant, so being in cryptocurrency and blockchain doesn't mean I'm a drug dealer or anything else of the sort. So it doesn't. I transitioned then into education back in 2010, and between 2016 and 2020 I transformed then across into the Web3 and the blockchain space to then launch Ablockofcrypto.
Interesting. Thank you, Paula, for that. And we'll kick off from getting deeper into your journey from Web2 to Web3. So let's talk about your Web2 experience, and then we'll move on to discussing what got you introduced to Web3 and at what stage.
Yeah, indeed. I'll share my story a little bit further back, if that's okay. So as I said, I'm a CPA accountant, and I noticed as an accountant when I was hiring and that people were missing a lack of skill in the accountancy sector, and that was Microsoft Excel. So this was back in 2007, 2008. So I decided as a CPA to write a suite of tutorials and to present them to the accountancy bodies, the professional accountancy bodies in Ireland and the UK. And I first became the leading supplier in online CPD for Microsoft Excel in Ireland and the UK, and that's how I got into teaching and online learning. So these courses, when I wrote them first, we didn't really have e-learning. We had CD-ROMs, so you're going way back. And then in 2010, a company launched called Udemy. Now, the accountancy market in Ireland is only a certain size, and Udemy started to grow very quickly, and they were worldwide. So I began to put courses up on Udemy. I started blogging and writing blog posts all about my subject, which was Microsoft Excel, and I managed to grow my blog to a top 250,000 website in the world, and many of my courses became best-selling courses on the Udemy platform. So I quickly grew my reputation online and as an instructor online, and now I can say that I have over 300,000 students online that have taken my courses, and which is such a great achievement. So that's how it got me working online and into the content creator side. So I've done that for quite a long time. I actually continued to work in the Excel field right up until 2020. Producing blog posts, making new courses, all that sort of stuff. But from 2016 I found blockchain, and I started learning and absorbing and getting involved, and I then kind of made a pivot. So that's kind of my background in how I became a content creator and started to work online.
Right, that's interesting, Paula. So as you mentioned that from the very beginning, the key focus was creating content in Excel. Then you've decided to transition into the future of tech space and creating. Did you start as a content creator into blockchain and cryptocurrency space, or how did that transition happen?
No, I no longer work in Excel. I totally finished up on that there about a year and a half ago to purely focus on Web3 and blockchain. There's a massive skills gap there as well, but we'll kind of get to that a little bit later on. What happened was, why I kind of really transitioned, or how I found Web3, was I just as a content creator, there's so many content creators online, okay, and it's not an easy market. Now it might look easy because everything that's pushed to us or everything that we see in our feed will be of people that have 1 million subscribers and, you know, all this sort of stuff, but that's algorithm fed.
Yeah.
And it's not really the reality of the situation. I mean, I think there's only about 350,000 YouTube channels out there that have over 100,000 subscribers.
True.
So it's not really that huge, and it's not really the reality of the situation. I got hit hard with the reality of the situation. So as I said, my blog grew to a top 250,000 website in the world, which is quite substantial. But removing ads from my Google website, I had lots of blog posts that ranked number 1. And as soon as you remove ads and disconnect from the Google ad scene, they de-rank you, which was pretty harsh. So I had that happen to me. Then as a Udemy instructor, so I wasn't making a huge amount off my blog posts as such. They would bring traffic to my website to sell courses. So that didn't hit me too hard revenue wise. It was a big disappointment to me because I worked so hard to grow my blog so big, and that to all of a sudden be ranked was pretty disappointing. But even more serious was that where my revenue came from. And as I said, I was a best-selling Udemy instructor for some of my courses, and in 2016 they changed their policies overnight. So their policy was, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with Udemy, but you buy courses on Udemy now for a tenner. They're always heavily discounted. They have it as a race to the bottom. Prior to that, very few courses were sold at heavy discount, and instructors got the higher proportion of the revenue that came from the courses. And when they changed their policies overnight, instructors all of a sudden got the lower proportion of the revenue, plus all sales were heavily discounted, so discounted down to a tenner, which meant on each course sale I was making as little as between $175 and $250 per course sale. Now my courses could be 10 hours long, and getting $250 a student, my revenue dropped by 90% overnight.
Right. Oh, that was very sad. That was very disappointing. Goodness.
Well, we had the option to leave. We were given the option to leave. But at that stage, Udemy had grown to 10 million students. They had market monopoly. And as a small content creator, I didn't have the marketing budget to compete with them. Not a hope. So I had no option but to comply if I wanted course sales from them. I had absolutely no option but to comply. Okay. I've had other problems as well, like I ran a community on Google Plus. Google Plus was a platform ran by Google that allowed you to set up communities, and they decided to shut that down. Now, they did give us notice that they were shutting it down and told us, get your members to move. But getting members to move is not really that easy of a task.
Yeah.
So I lost my community on Google Plus because they pulled the plug on me overnight. I had a similar experience on Facebook. At the start on Facebook, when you set up a community or a group on Facebook, you actually had direct access, direct contact details to people that were in your group, their phone numbers and their email addresses. And then they changed the policy on that you don't have direct access or direct contact. So if it's not on your email list, you don't own them contacts. The platform owns them, and they can deplatform you at any stage. And I suppose you can call it censorship in a way, that all of a sudden you're censored. People are often shadow banned on Twitter. You see it very, very regularly, that the people that you're following on Twitter, you don't actually get to always see their posts. You get to see what the algorithm wants you to see.
True. Yeah,
so Udemy was a real big kind of kick in the face, and I kind of felt that they screwed me over. So I went searching for a new way of doing things.
Okay.
And at the time, Bitcoin was on this bull run back in 2016, and I kind of thought to myself, I wonder, is there a way I can sell my courses for Bitcoin? And I start searching up stuff like that, and I never actually found a way to sell my courses at the time for Bitcoin. But what I did find was this platform, this blockchain called Steam. And the Steam blockchain was a blockchain that held content. Now, most blockchains don't hold content, they hold transactions. But this blockchain actually held text content.
Right.
And you could blog on it. And the way the new rewards were mined was that half of the rewards went to the miners that ran the nodes, and the other half of the rewards actually went to content creators. And it went to them in terms of likes and votes. So when somebody liked your content or voted on your content, that was worth money. So I says, oh, well, this could be an opportunity for me. So I start blogging there about Microsoft Excel because that was my subject of choice. But nobody on that blockchain was interested in Microsoft Excel, and I was blogging aimlessly for a couple of months before I kind of realised, right, well, these are blockchain people, they're tech people, they're, you know, this isn't their game. So I pivoted my skills.
Or not.
Yeah. And it was like starting from scratch, trying to build a new community somewhere. And so, you know, I stood back and I took a look at what I was doing, and I was like, well, hold on. Instead of trying to teach people about my skills, about the skills, why don't I use my skills to actually analyze the blockchain data? So I was able to connect to the blockchain with Microsoft Excel, pull data, and write reports on it. And I was able to do reports on new users, I was able to do reports on earnings, and I also uncovered a few scams and stuff that was going on. And I was publishing data reports about the blockchain to the platform.
And where would you do that? Where would you publish? What platform would that be?
It was on steemit.com.
Okay.
Yeah. So these posts became really, really popular, and I very quickly grew a following. After which, because the type of blockchain it is, it's delegated proof of stake, so you need people to back you to be a witness or a node runner. I set up a node and my community worked very well, and I was blogging there for 2 or 3 years, making quite a good living, much better than I was making off Udemy, much better than I was making off my own blog. And that's how I stumbled into Web3 and found Web3. But I also knew then that if the blockchain got taken down, if steemit.com, not the blockchain, if the user interface got taken down, I still had a backup of all of my content. I still had all of the connections that I made through wallets. They were my connections. They could never take them off me.
Right.
And it didn't matter what happened to the front end, that I still had ownership of my stuff.
Yeah, of your connections. Beautiful. Incredible. Incredible. Wow. People have to listen to that. People have to listen to this interesting and exciting case of... Yeah. Okay, Paula, carry on. I'm loving it.
Well then, unfortunately, steemit.com, or Steem, the blockchain, got taken over in a hostile takeover by a guy called Justin Sun. So Justin Sun is the founder of Tron. He has all of the Tron Foundation and all of the blockchains that go along with that. And he bought a 51% stake in the network. And he was able to orchestrate a hostile takeover. And he voted out all the community witnesses, and he voted in all his own witnesses, which meant the platform was no longer decentralized. And that went against everything that I was after building myself up for, and totally went against everything, but all was not lost.
Did it really impact you, that takeover? Like I would like to know in what different ways.
Yeah, well, you see, the witnesses or the miners are all voted in by the community.
Okay,
and they get to, it's the witnesses and the miners that get to decide what happens to the blockchain, what new code is ran, what upgrades happen. So it was kind of owned by the community as such, and that's very much how Web3 is. It's more of a decentralized situation than one central person organising it.
Okay.
And all of a sudden we were back to Tron owning this, calling the shots, saying what was going to happen, and it just felt like Udemy all over again.
All right. Yes, that makes complete sense. True.
Yeah. So he could downvote posts that he didn't like. So if anybody was posting about him, so I had mentioned that votes meant rewards, but a downvote would take rewards off you. and he would remove rewards and all from people because he didn't like what they were saying, and censorship and all came back into play.
Okay.
So there was a community fork.
All right.
So a fork in the blockchain space can mean a number of things. A fork can be an upgrade, or a fork can be a split in the chain. Okay, so this was a split in the chain. So the community decided to create a copy of the blockchain. Most blockchains are open source, they're easy to do this. And they decided to create a copy of the chain and call it Hive. Hive is now more successful than Steam. It's the only fork of a blockchain where the fork has become more successful than the original platform, because the whole community moved. Nobody was happy with this takeover by Justin Sun, and the whole community moved. But at that stage, I had got a little bit disheartened. I still do blog a little bit on Hive, but I stopped running a witness node. And I just kind of branched out a little bit more on Web3 to see what else was out there. There has to be more than just this. So I start learning, and yeah, I was just 24/7 reading up about layer 1s, layer 2s, all the other different things that were going along with it. And then we hit the next bear market and things got really quiet, but it gave me a great opportunity to continue to just learn and absorb, and that's how I moved into Web3.
Interesting. And that too, when you talk about learning into this space, it takes a lot of time. So say when I was working with Workday, I would have my 9 to 5. And when I started exploring the blockchain and getting deeper into the technology, and the rest of my evening I would just spend taking my time going through the material and a lot of data that was coming up so fast on various channels. But wow, this is an incredible journey and transition from Web2 to Web3, and everything is, how should I say? I should say it's very real. They're all realistic use cases that Web2, your journey into Web2, and then all the challenges that you have gone through. Now there was another opportunity into this new space, and you have then decided to explore it. Well, it never comes easy. There are always hardships, there are always struggles, mental struggle as well. Now what should I do? How should I proceed ahead with my career? Now I have gone through that too, because it can keep you awake at night as well, that what should I be doing? How should I be, making it work for myself? Right. And now that's when Ablockofcrypto started, or how did that project?
So I started to run an online meetups group. So what I very much realized about Web3 was that it's community. It's community first. Everything is community, and projects thrive off community. If you have a great community behind a project is going to be quite successful. Yeah. So I started to run a meetups group when we went into lockdown, an online meetups group when we went into lockdown. And we run that every single Thursday night. We've been running it now a couple of years, every single Thursday night. And it was for people just to come and talk about Web3, talk about blockchain, talk about crypto, sound ideas off. Like, all the meetups had stopped because of COVID. So it was a great opportunity to start something online. So we started that online, and it grew very quickly. It became quite popular quite quickly, to the extent that if we weren't available to run a Thursday night and had to cancel for some reason, we'd get messages off people saying, I've got nothing to do now tonight.
Right.
So it really became a community.
Yeah. And I recall yours was the very first a meetup that were organized in Dublin, in the same space, in blockchain space. Yeah, blockchain, metaverse, Web3 space. I recall that there were not many meetups or opportunities, so we needed somebody to drive it, so be a facilitator, and that's where your meetups came up about, because I had been on the meetup group and I would see the notifications coming in of the meetups being organized on Thursday evenings. Yeah, so I know that.
And we became global as well because of COVID. So we had members from all over the world. We'd members from South America, we've members from Asia, we've members from all across Europe, we've members in the UK, we've members in Nigeria. We've people from all over the world that come to the meetups, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, and it was a great opportunity for everyone to learn from each other, and especially...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Paula, tell us about more about the Blockofcrypto then. So it started with running the meetups.
Well, it started with running the meetups group, and what we realised that people coming into the space had all the same questions that I had coming into the space. Yeah. How do you do this? How do you do that? Oh, we have a layer 2. How do you move to a layer 2? How do you get your tokens onto a layer 2? What buttons do you press? I can't understand these transactions in MetaMask. What am I doing? And the process for people starting to use Web3, unfortunately, we're still so early in Web3 that it's not the most user-friendly place in the world. And because it involves finance, because cryptocurrency is attached to it, transactions can be scary, because if you make a mistake and you lose your funds, they're gone. There's no help desk for you to call to get a little bit of support on. So we realised from the meetups group that there was so many new people coming into the space. There was nothing, and the same questions would come up when new people would come in. They'd have the same questions that another new person would have had a couple of months ago. Right. So we decided to create some learning content around it and to build some courses around it. And so I launched Ablockofcrypto.
Interesting, fascinating. It's amazing. Yeah. So that's where the inception of Blockofcrypto came in about. And if I would ask, so going forward, what's the main vision and this vision for Blockofcrypto?
Well, the main vision for Blockofcrypto is onboarding and just really helping people to learn how to use Web3, to learn the benefits of Web3. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there for people. At the moment in Western society, the opportunities for earning an income in Web3 aren't as great as they are for people in non-Western countries. And the reason being, the likes of the Hive blockchain at the moment, if you're not hugely established, you could earn $2 or $3 on a post a day, okay, if you're not hugely established. In Europe, in America, $2 or $3 a day isn't going to make that much of a difference to your back pocket. But in the likes of Indonesia and in the likes of other countries, $2 or $3 a day makes a huge difference. And there's people now in these countries that are able to make a living playing blockchain games, playing Web3 related games. And they can make a serious living, but getting involved from the start, setting up a wallet, where do you find these opportunities? How do you transfer? How do you get your money back to your bank account? How do you keep custody of your assets? All of these things are really, really scary to people, and there was no education out there from the blockchains about this. The blockchains were all heavily focused in training developers. It's developers. We need more developers.
Space right now. Yeah.
And why do we need developers? Well, we need developers because we don't have a user-friendly product.
Yeah.
As I said, it's quite difficult. But at the same time, these developers they're not progressing, in my mind, fast enough to get it user-friendly. And so there's still a huge gap in onboarding end users. So I spent a lot of time actually talking to blockchains themselves, to the blockchain foundations themselves, and trying to explain to them that you're spending millions training developers, but you've got no users.
True.
And you have no users because it's actually too difficult to use. So we need to train end users on this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I managed with that to be able to get a grant fund from the Solana Foundation. So Solana is one of the larger blockchains out there, and I managed to get a grant fund from the Solana blockchain to fund onboarding training. So training just about Web3. What is it? How do I use it? What's an NFT? How do I use a bridge? How do I use a swap? How do I get my money on? How do I get my money off? What's a transaction? How do I look up a transaction on a block explorer? Just the really, really basics that the end user unfortunately needs to know at the moment. Now, hopefully in 5 years, the end user won't need to know any of that because it'll be so much easier. Yeah. But it's times like this, while it's still so difficult, that the opportunities are there for people to actually earn a really, really good living. You know the saying, the early bird catches the worm.
Absolutely. And that's where you have decided to create a block of crypto in a very simplified way and in an ABC format. That's fantastic. And that's what a lot of people need right now, because considering the different customer segment, the age group as well, everyone needs to know. People in their 50s, 60s who might not be fully comfortable with the technology, they need to understand it in a very simplified way. Now, coming back to the emerging markets, right? We spoke about that the money that people can earn on Hive, like $2 or $3 won't be enough then, but it can be so useful for people in the emerging market. So how do you see that space growing? Would you like to share some context on your understanding on emerging markets, or their adoption of blockchain or crypto, or their curiosity in learning about this space, and and how can the emerging market leverage a block of crypto?
I think, as I said it there a minute ago, the emerging markets actually have the most opportunity at the moment. Now, on Hive, you can earn $100, $200 a post, but you need to have built a reputation and you need to have a following to get the likes. It's like growing on any other content platform. To get the likes, even on YouTube, you'll get 10 likes if you have 50 followers. But if you have 1 million followers, you're going to get 500,000 likes. Do you know, that sort of way? So it's kind of relative to growth. So for people starting off, the emerging markets really have the best opportunity, because they don't need to earn as much as the Western society need to earn to make a good living.
True.
Now, in saying that, just because people from the Western market, $2 or $3 won't make a difference, that's more than they're going to earn on a Twitter post. So they're as well off posting on Web3 as they are on posting on Web2. If there's a content creator out there starting, they're as well off starting to build a community on Web2 on Web3 rather than on Web2. Right. But in terms of emerging markets, it's really, I think, being utilised an awful lot more in emerging markets. Like if we look at El Salvador, for example, El Salvador have legalised Bitcoin as proper tender, whereas the United States, it's about regulation, and the SEC are slapping down lawsuits on everybody left, right and centre. You can't do this, you can't do that, and they're pushing out the opportunity from them countries that these emerging markets are able to suck in, and eventually will have the monopoly in them, leaving behind the more developed countries, which I think is absolutely amazing, and it can lead to a big shift in the economies and the financial state around the world.
Interesting, Paula. And let's go back to your block of crypto and the courses that we provide for the learners. You would suggest that anyone who is curious about blockchain, crypto, NFTs, or Web3 space and want to get started should go to a block of crypto web and start learning from there. But let's touch upon some of the courses or the content that the website and the project provides.
Yeah. So one of the courses that I have up there is a course on self-custody, and self-custody is pretty important when it comes to Web3, because there's a saying in Web3 and in crypto that not your keys, not your coins. So we had a huge incident only recently in the crypto sphere where a centralized exchange, FTX, went down, and all of the customers' funds were lost. This was not a failure in blockchain. By any means was this not a failure in blockchain. This is back to traditional finance and how people do things in traditional finance. Now, your man that ran it was dodgy. Everything he was doing was illegal. Most traditional finances aren't doing so much illegal things, okay? So a bit of an exception to the rule. But in every single bear market so far, we've had central exchanges collapse and people lose their funds. So the FTX situation is not a new situation. So people need to learn how to manage their funds themselves. Now, in modern day society, we go to banks and we trust banks. But facts of the matter are, banks lend out your money to other people, and we've seen the bank collapse in 2008 where a lot of people lost their money on bank collapse, and we've seen it again now happen this year. It started to happen in the financial sector. There's a couple of banks in America going down. We had Credit Suisse in a bit of trouble, and you know, there's a chance that we could have another banking crisis. So what do people do? with their cash. When we have a situation like that, can you trust the banks? People are taking cash out. People are keeping cash under their bed again, under their pillow again. That's self-custody. So in cryptocurrency, there's a way, and in Web3, there's a way to take self-custody of your assets. But it can be scary because it involves wallets, it involves seed phrases, it involves these cryptic keys that are ridiculously long that nobody understands them. So we have a course there on self-custody. Obviously the course is totally free for anybody to do. And it just explains the basics of how to take custody of your digital assets, your cryptocurrency and your NFTs.
I'll do that in the next few days because that's the course and going through the right structure is needed, and I haven't yet looked into this space like seriously to know what the right process should be. Oh, that's good to know, Paula, and most of us should definitely go through that course. Self-custody. Lovely.
And then we have another free course there as well, which is Navigating Web3.
Okay.
And it just teaches the basics of actually moving around Web3. It gives you some theory, a little bit of theory on what blockchain is, why it's important, and then it talks about the major concepts in blockchain like DeFi, decentralized finance, NFTs, and it shows you how to actually use them. Decentralized finance is very, very popular. It allows people to earn a yield on their cryptocurrency, just like if you save in a bank. Well, not really at the moment, but you used to earn interest when you put money into your bank. You can earn an interest when you put your money into decentralized finance. So a lot of people want to know how they can earn a yield. So it breaks down the basics of what decentralized finance is, and it shows you how to use it in a really simple, easy to use way. Again, it shows you how to buy cryptocurrency, so it's really, really basic for people, how to buy it, how to move it from a central exchange over to a blockchain, how to use a swap, how to buy an NFT, the purpose of NFTs, and it talks a little bit then about the metaverse and the future and where things could be going as well. So it's a really good onboarding course for people that just want to figure it out and go through the steps with a little bit of guidance.
Right, Paula, and also a lot of people in my own circle ask me a couple of times the same question, that there are so many different aspects here. There are NFTs, the currencies, blockchain, and so much is going on in this space and so many different verticals, and how does it all come together? So I think to understand that, navigating through Web3 is another very significant course.
Yeah,
great. Yeah, so that's another one, because this is most of the people who are new to the space have this confusion that there is so much going on, and how will we start using a right product, or which brings everything together, and to understand that. So this course is another wonderful one that facilitates all that understanding. And I see that you also, currently you're running the meetups, and there is a platform available for users where they can go and take these courses. And the third is you also have a YouTube channel where people can listen to all the podcasts.
So the YouTube channel I actually started when I was doing Excel, and I carried it over and just kind of continued on and put content on it now about Web3 and blockchain and stuff. So the types of content I have up there, a lot of it is, I wouldn't call it time sensitive content. Like I'll talk about airdrops, but not airdrops that you need to do something immediately, airdrops that you need to. So an airdrop is where somebody can claim free tokens for a new blockchain that's coming out or carrying out particular activities. So again, it's another way to earn. I'll explain other things that are going on in the market, why they're happening. So it's kind of really keeps things more up to date and flowing for after you've kind of taken the courses.
So another question on the Blockofcrypto, right? So at the moment, how many learners are there who are available courses, who are taking the courses, or is the project growing now? What are the future plans?
Yeah, so there's over 2,000 people now that have taken the free courses, which is quite good because they're only live about a year. Actually, they're not even fully live a year. They're only live since around September, so that's not too bad. We also then have some paid courses as well. So the free courses are self-paced, that they're all pre-recorded and you do them online, and there is a question section where you can ask questions and still get support from myself and the instructors. But then we also run more cohort-based training, where we have a live class every week, there's a study group every week, and it's an awful lot more detailed we call them more expert tracks. So you kind of want to cover the basics before you come into one of these courses. I definitely believe the basic onboarding should be free. Like, this is a new technology we want people to be using, and I just don't see why people should have to pay for it. But if they want to become an expert, we do have paid courses that take them that little bit further. It gives them a more in-depth knowledge of the technicals behind it, how to analyze tokens for tokenomics and understanding the background of tokenomics and what's good and bad tokenomics design. And just for those that are more savvy and are looking to probably get involved or invest in projects and they don't know how to research how to invest in a project, right, for that side of things. So it's not really about using, it's more about assessing projects and figuring out, well, what's going to be. There's so many projects come in the blockchain space and go. Yeah. And if you're going to be investing in blockchain rather than just using it as a product, you need to know how to assess a project. So it goes through all that sort of stuff as well. So that's how we kind of monetize and how we grow. Now, that side of things is actually quite slow at the moment, being honest with you. Yeah. Because there's a bear market in the crypto sphere at the moment, and we don't have that many new people coming on wanting to buy because the prices are going down. Yeah. But I know from experience, I've been here since 2016, that as soon as the bear market ends and the economy starts improving, that there will be such high demand. The last time we ran our expert track, we opened it up to 200 people and it was full within 24 hours.
Wow, incredible.
So I'm not too concerned about the future of these expert tracks and that at the moment. So thankfully, because of the Solana funding, I'm able to continue with the free courses, and hopefully that'll get me through until the market kind of turns around, and then we can start back up on the expert tracks. But we're not currently running an expert track because we just don't feel the demand is there enough at the moment.
Interesting, Paula. So I just wanted to say that whosoever be listening to our podcast, so first thing they will understand is the major use case behind transitioning from Web2 to Web3 and all the confidence and the community that, well, it's a community based, but the confidence that it gives on our resources, our content, and on our own life. So that safety that comes with it, people will understand the use case of Web3. And second, I would say to our listeners that reach out to Ablockofcrypto, reach out to Paula, and start taking those initial courses if you want to get started in Web3 space and blockchain and tokenization and various other aspects that Ablockofcrypto covers, and see if some particular nation trusts you, and take it from there. And I think Ablockofcrypto is a wonderful space to get started, where you can just start for free and explore the space and see if that interests. Is the name of your meetup is Ablockofcrypto, or it's known at the moment?
No, the name of the meetups group at the moment is the Global Blockchain, Cryptocurrency and Web3 Meetups Group.
Interesting. And I would ask people, whoever is listening to our podcast from worldwide, from emerging markets and in the West, to follow the meetups on the Meetup app and join us one of the days.
We've actually expanded now, so we have a meetups group that runs in Dublin on Thursdays, we have one then in the UK on Tuesdays, and we've recently launched one in Canada as well that runs on Mondays.
So
just if you are getting involved, the community is there. It's really a community space. It's actually one of the most helpful spaces that I've ever been in. Everybody wants to help each other.
True.
But it's also full of scams. Yeah. So I will just warn people that when they reach out to people for help, make sure you know who you're reaching out to for help and go through a trusted source. And that would be kind of key, is use trusted sources all of the time.
Right, Paula, on that I would like to share one example. We all know Binance, KuCoin, and these big exchanges. And there are scammers who have made duplicate profiles of their CEOs and directors and so on. They might send a link to you and ask you to pay for their philanthropy fund or CSR fund. I came across a lot of these scams myself, and these profiles look so legitimate, but they aren't. And I was quite shocked that how these people are so, expert in creating exact profiles that will really can't differentiate at all. So yeah, these kind of scams are going on, which makes people think that it's a legitimate profile, but it's something altogether different, and several different scams as well. Okay, cool. So I think it was a wonderful podcast, wonderful conversation with you, and thank you, Paula, for being with us today. And I'm sure that this podcast, whoever will be listening, will be hugely benefiting from it. And looking forward to meeting you in person in one of the events. Maybe it's a blockchain event or in our own Blockofcrypto event very soon in the meetup. And we will try and continue to collaborate on the opportunities that would present itself, and definitely in the emerging markets for sure. We need to raise more and more awareness there in the emerging market, because there is a talent, there is opportunity. Yeah, sure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Take
Bye
care.
now. Bye.
Bye.